Greetings. I just learned about a process of using human bodies for composting called liquefaction, or rather it's called alkaline hydrolysis. Now this is when the human body, after death, is put into a chamber that uses heat and lye to basically melt the body down into a brown sludge. Now the thing is, this breakdown of human remains has been allowed by law in several states. For instance, in California, AB 967 allows funeral homes to dissolve human remains into a liquid. And there's about 19 states that allow this. Now, I didn't know about this despite the fact that it's been happening in California since the late 90s at UCLA. The machine that processes the body's remains was actually in a 2018 movie remake of Superfly. So when I did see it, I thought it was some sort of futuristic machine of fiction. Who knew that it was a real process of dissolving the human body? Now, the fact that there's a machine or process that liquefies the body may or may not be a point of contention. But what I'm about to show you can indeed qualify as a problem. What's starting to happen is this human liquid decomposition is ending up in the water system. In some states, it's ending up in the same water that people end up drinking. Here's an article showing where the liquid is poured into the municipal water system. Now we know the municipal water system is where the city processes drinking water. So let's be clear, this is put directly into the water we drink and bathe with. This human decomposition matter is also being used for agriculture or agricultural soil. If it's not already being used, there are laws in place to allow its use. Some legislation in the Colorado Senate has gone as far as allowing the use of dead body matter for soil, but the soil should not be used to grow human food, or rather to grow food for human consumption, and it can't be sold on the market. Oregon has similar laws in place where it's already practicing decomposing human tissue into compost. Some of you may be too young to remember this, but a movie called Soylent Green came out in the early 70s, I think 1973. And it was about the fact that food was too expensive for the average worker to afford. So the food industry started making food out of dead people. You should check this movie out if you get a chance. And the strange correlation I noted was that the hydrolysis legislation of today began to legally enact in 2020, even though some of the bills were introduced in the late 90s. The Soylent Green movie depicted that people would be food in 2022. Now, I'm not saying they're using human matter for food directly, but if it's in the drinking water, and if it's allowed to be used as soil, supposedly not for human food production, but for animal production, I assume, because they didn't say anything against it, then if it's used for animals to feed from, and people feed from animals, then what's happening? I would say we're getting close. And I guess it all depends on how you view things. I just find it odd that something this significant as far as this alkaline hydrolysis, where they're using human dead body matter or decomposed bodies to use as soil compost or to liquefy and to pour down the water system. I just find it odd that it could slip by the general public without being a big issue. But I guess that's the way law works. Hundreds of things get enacted on the low, and by the time we find out about it as a large collective, when it becomes common knowledge, it's a little too late to try to close the barn door after the horses have escaped. But anyway, just thought you should know that. Till next video, peace. If you learned from this video, help support the study and time to bring this knowledge to our community. It does take time and effort to be concise and as accurate as possible so that we can stay abreast of important health information and techniques. Please visit the site and follow these links.